Good evening, everyone. Deb, I think it's just going to be the two of us tonight. So I think we can call this meeting to order. We actually have a few agenda items today, so that is nice for everyone in the crowd. We have a film proposal presentation and reviewing a previous grant application that was from a previous meeting that we pulled back to review. And I think that's all I have. Deb, do you have anything?
No, that sounds good. Yeah, let's just stick with what's on the agenda.
All right. Then let's start with the film proposal presentation. Kristen, you're here. Perfect.
Hello.
Kristen.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thanks for having me. So should I just sort of kind of introduce what I'm here for, or?
Definitely, yeah. So yeah, if you want to share your slides in your presentation and just give a little update of what you're requesting from us.
Sure.
We'll go from there.
Yep. So let me try the screen share. It's always an adventure. Let's see what happens here. Can you guys see my slides? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So can you still see them now?
No. Well, not the slides.
A second. I needed to move the window and then it moved on me. Wait, here we go. One more time. How about now?
Yes.
Perfect.
So my name is Kristen. I live in the neighborhood. I live on Mintwood Place near 19th. And I'm a documentary filmmaker, photographer, multimedia artist, various other things. And I am looking to apply for the DC Commission for Arts and Humanities Public Art Building Communities grant, which I know that you all have considered before. You've considered other proposals before. Monica Bose, who also lives in the neighborhood, who just had her installation at the Lion in Unity Park, is a friend who I've known for a number of years in the art community as well. And she's doing film work and as you know, multimedia installations. So I am interested in creating a film, a documentary style film, as well as a temporary installation around the theme of the film, and doing a combination of that installation, much like Monica did actually this year, a combination of an installation that will stay up for several weeks or a month, and then pop-up screenings of video film experience, and community gathering, discussion, conversation, community building. And it's really focused on sort of past and present history of Adams Morgan, which I've been really steeped in. So let me just, I'm not going to try to do the whole slideshow thing because it sometimes just messes up the screen share. So I'll just do it this way. So the vision is really, and as I mentioned, I've been in the neighborhood since 2016, and I've really been kind of steeping myself in the history and community building, and I'm collaborating with some other, as I mentioned, Monica, but also Nancy Shia, who you may know, who's a photographer who's been living here since the 70s and photographing kind of our community and events and change over time. And I'm really interested in sort of stories of past and present in history, and present day voices of the community as it's always changing and evolving. And really Adams Morgan is being this hub of neighborhood identity. We were actually you probably know this, but organizing here in the 70s was actually the birth of the ANC system for the whole city, as well as leading in desegregation of schools in the city in the 50s, as well as ending redlining in our community. And so all these ways that the community has come together, and I've just been so fascinated by the stories and the people that I've met who live here now, as well as who've been sort of part of the history, if it makes sense. I should say I also got a grant this year from a smaller grant from Humanities DC for the DC Oral History collaborative, which I'm going to be doing some in-depth oral history interviews about the history of Adams Morgan. And so that would be sort of the foundation for this piece. So that's already in progress. I've already gotten that grant. So I'll just show, I just have some mock-ups of the vision, which is Walter Pierce Park, to wrap the fence that goes around the park. So turning it into sort of an art walk that talks about the history. That will be, as I mentioned, these are just sort of sample imagery for a mock-up, but that will be a combination of archival photographs and materials, text, present day visuals, and also the vision would be to have a sort of audio installation piece here. So there will be QR codes that you could scan with your phone to hear voices that sort of tell pieces of this story. And those audio stories coming from the interviews that I mentioned, sort of historical and present day interviews of voices of the community, would you'd be able to hear those in the from your phone during the installation, which would be up for the time period, and then that would go into the video piece, which would, as I mentioned, pop up. So this is just another view. It would be a temporary installation, and my vision is to have it be over the month of September. This is very far out. It's 2023 because the grant would come this fall, and it's for the following fiscal year of 2023. So yeah, 2022, but it will be into 2023. And so tying that in with Adams Morgan Day. So over the course, say, of the month of September would be the vision. And that, as I mentioned, along the walkway in Walter Pierce Park would all be temporary. I should mention too that part of this grant process, you may know, requires you to go to the city agencies, the relevant city agencies, in this case DPR, and I'm already in touch with them. You have to get a pre-permitting letter to submit with the application, which is being processed now. So it would all obviously go through DPR. I mentioned the interactive audio stories that would be there, and then the pop-up screenings of this video piece in the park, inviting community members to a dialogue with this idea of diversity and neighborhood, and how Adams Morgan has built this intentional multicultural community that's really been part of the fabric of the city's history. And so we would invite people from the community to view the installation, as well as come to the screening conversations. And I have a couple of mock-ups of the screening vision. So the vision would actually be to do what's called a multi-channel or two-channel video piece. So instead of just one screen, you would have multiple video pieces going at once that interact with each other. So there'd be story, and you could see visuals as so sort of past and present day interaction. And that would be in the circle in the park. And that's just the other view of for DPR, of sort of having projectors hidden where they wouldn't be trip hazards and all of those sorts of things. And then folks could come in, and much like we do for the films, the Adams Morgan film series, you know, sit on a blanket, or there's actually picnic tables and benches behind and a wall. So that would be the vision for that. And I just included a little bit about me. I don't really want to like read you my resume or anything, but this is me. I'm DC-based filmmaker, photographer, and multimedia artist. I'm also an attorney, and I have my own production company. It's called Unchained Stories. The focus is really around justice and community, and I collaborate with a lot of nonprofits and social change makers with video and film. And I also do personal work that's photo-based and video-based. I actually have a personal installation opening at the Hilliard Gallery next week and for July, so July 1st. And I've gotten grants in the past from the DC Commission, never one of these public art grants, but project grants, and also the Artist Fellowship. And I've also been supported by a number of organizations like Halcyon, Echoing Green, Open Society Foundations, Public Welfare Foundation, and some various things here. This is just some of the things. So I just had a short film that came out that was screened just a couple of months ago at the Bethesda Film Festival, which is a documentary festival. And these are just two recent projects. The one I mentioned on the right was at the Bethesda Film Festival, and this short film series that I just created with the Public Welfare Foundation actually premiered on HBCU Go TV platform this past weekend. And it's stories of women community leaders across the country who filmed in 3 cities, including DC. And so that's just a little bit of background. So I'm happy to take any questions. And as I understand it, the process is that, and I can just go back here. The process is that I guess you all can pass it on to the full ANC, and then in the early July meeting could approve to it's just a letter of support that I would submit with the application, which is due on July 15th. And I actually saw on your website the letter that you had submitted for Monica, so I'm assuming it would be sort of a similar template.
You are correct with that. So I have a few questions, but in terms of process, you are correct. So this would go to the full committee, so you get the full kind of ANC approval. Deb, do you have any questions or?
I was kind of curious actually about the video projection. Would that be like, would that be running at like specific times, or would it be like an event, or would it just be sort of like left there for a longer period of time? Yeah. Would you go into that?
Sure. Yeah, no, it would be specific pop-up events, because it's video doesn't really, we can't sort of leave projectors and things out there. That's tough, and they don't really work during the day. So it's a bit similar to what Monica has done, but it would be the vision. I didn't actually put the timeline on here. Sorry, I meant to, but the vision would be that sort of for the month of September, it would be up. So there would be kind of an opening event, and they often do that. I think that's sort of standard with the public art grants. So there'd be an opening grant event like the first weekend where we would pop up and do a screening. And then there would probably be one, in the middle of the month tied with Adams Morgan Day. And then there would be 1 or 2 more. So maybe there's something each weekend through the month is kind of the idea. So we would they would be very simple screens and projectors, but we would pop that up for planned events and, invite folks for conversation, and, ideally get some citywide folks and policymakers and folks from the community in conversation at those different planned events that we would promote. And then the piece with the fabric wrap, that would be going the whole time. So that can be that can stay there. That would be weatherproof, and then people, as I mentioned, could listen to the audio stories all the time and then come to the events.
Great. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
I love the addition of the audio experiences. I'm just kind of interested in how you found your interview subjects, if you're still looking for more people, and kind of just how that has been going.
Yeah, so the oral history grant is specifically is pretty focused on this sort of organizing in the 70s around ending redlining in the community, and allowing folks to get everybody actually to get home loans in Adams Morgan, which really allowed us to kind of become what we are today. And so and the agreement with Perpetual Bank and all of that. So that's the specific narrow focus of that oral history project. And so we're going to be interviewing Frank Smith, who was the predecessor to the ANC and then 4-time Ward 1 council member. We already interviewed actually, oh my gosh, his name just escaped me. He was sort of involved in the bank efforts, and then Marina Hickeen, who was also part of the organizing effort, and probably Nancy Shaya, who was sort of documenting and organizing, and then there's several other folks. And then I think for this piece, we would want to, broaden and get into some of the other pieces of the history. So we haven't I haven't necessarily decided and gotten those interview subjects yet. And then also thinking about sort of the present day voices representing all the different experiences and cultures that come into the community. So that's something that we would be really kind of working on as over the course of the grant and putting that together, if that makes sense.
That does. No, it sounds, I'm really looking forward to it. And then I just encourage also, hearing about this, I think it would be great just to make the schools aware in the neighborhood, because I think this would be an excellent opportunity for them to kind of just see the history that's all around them on the streets they walk.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And actually, another friend of mine did a similar project that was funded by the commission a few years ago in Petworth, where they did sort of video installation projections along Georgia Avenue, and with voices around sort of the diversity of the community and newer residents and older residents, and sort of coming together. And one of the things they did with that was kind of led walking tours where folks could kind of come through that installation and hear from somebody maybe who'd been in the community for a long time, their perspective. And so that's something maybe we could organize to sort of have the schools be able to come and kind of see the installation and hear the stories. So I love that idea. This is sort of it's a work in progress, because you're proposing it, but then it's gonna, as all these projects do, take on a life of its own and grow as we actually hopefully get the funding and then be able to create it. So yeah.
Great. I don't have any other questions, Deb.
No, I don't either.
Okay. Then I'll just take a motion to approve this to go to the full committee with our recommendation that we approve the letter of recommendation for this project.
Yeah, I
I don't know if we do the second with 2 people.
I know, I was thinking, what happens with 2 people?
That's great. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy to, whatever the process is, I'll mark my calendar for that meeting, but whatever the process is, if there's anything that I should submit ahead of time for that, I'm happy to do that.
Definitely, yeah. Let's touch base, or we can touch base and just make sure that you're ready for that. But really looking forward to this. I think this will be it's a really neat project. I think it's just going to be, it's to me always tying in the local history and with what looks like it's going to be a really beautiful piece. So
great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let me share my screen here.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to our second agenda item. It's a review of the job from Jobs Not Guns. And I think we've got Dottie on the line and Rosalind as well, both of those.
Unmute. Okay, I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Butts.
No problem.
And Rosalind Stiles is here also, if you could promote her.
Yep, she's coming up.
Okay, now I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Dottie. I'm sorry. I was waving and I wasn't in that because I was muted. Okay.
No problem. Well, thank you both for being able to attend tonight. You submitted your application in May, so we're just bringing this back. We wanted to keep it moving just to make sure that we meet our deadlines for your event, so that if we do approve it, that we can discuss it as a full group in July. So if you would just take a moment to kind of talk a little bit about your organization and then what you're seeking funds for,
Okay.
that'd be a great start.
All right. Again, my name is Rosalind Stiles, and I'm the president of the National Association of Minority Contractors, the Washington, D.C. metro area chapter. And in my real life, I am a compliance officer. I have a compliance company for over 20 years. And what I do is to make sure that the contractors that have contracts with the district that has a requirement that 35% of the new hires have to be district residents. And so I make sure that the contractors hire district residents. And so when the mayor established the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, I wanted to be involved. Our chapter wanted to be involved. We wanted to help because what we do for the contractors, we thought it would be a good idea that we could do this across the city in terms of helping them to find, because they always say, I can't find DC residents to work. And the DC resident says that they are not getting hired, with all these major projects. And so there had to be some synergy to bring us together. And sure enough, what I did was with two other community activists, we formed a coalition, the DC Business Coalition, and basic gun violence prevention. And basically what our goal is that we wanted to not only bring employers to the table, but we wanted to bring training programs and support services. Because a lot of times when residents go to these job fairs, they're not selected, and it's because there may be a deficiency in terms of the training, or they may have some other barriers that to employment, and so it's no need of them coming and then not be able to be fully served. So what we did is that we did a pilot program with a grant from the mayor's Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and did the first one in July of 2021 at the Martin Luther King Library. The employers and the training providers were so excited, so excited. The residents were a little more hesitant about coming downtown, but it was still a good stepping stone for how we as a community can kind of rally around making sure that we do a match between the businesses and the community. So the community east of the river, which is where my office is, which is in Ward 7 and 8, invited us to host one in east of the river, which we did in November. And the facility, the sports arena, was donated by Events DC. And I'm just saying that we were so blessed, again, with the grant from the mayor's office, we had 85 exhibitors, and we had over 200 residents who were looking to work. And they were so excited because they were able to identify resources. A lot of times the people who are going out and looking for jobs within our customer base may not know how to get the resume written. They may not know how they're supposed to look and talk. And so having the training providers there, they can go not to just a job. Most of the time people go and they'll maybe get a job at McDonald's as a cashier, but we're talking about creating careers. And so we brought employers to the table who we're asking them to invest in our residents, because they're being subsidized through various tax incentives, and to invest in district residents. And we showed them that we're bringing the support services with them. So they're not babysitters. These are programs and services that are being funded here in the district. So we had city-funded training programs. We had private funded programs, and it really turned out to be very successful. Well, your council member, Nadeau, heard about it, as well as Ward 4, and invited us to sit down and have a conversation about bringing the initiative to Ward 1. And so we keep up with the statistics, and we know that Columbia Heights and Adamsburg and the Ward 1 community is suffering from a high degree of violence and gun violence. And so, as you may know, Dottie is on the line and she can talk more about the profile in Ward 1 and the need in Ward 1, because I kind of serve as the planner in making, and trying to make it happen. But I have the passion because I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. And it is my responsibility, I think, to help the communities to hire district residents, because if you do that, there's a less likely a propensity for gun violence, and we're trying to reprogram the perpetrators, as well as helping to reduce the victims of gun violence. So Dottie, you want to add to that and tell them we are so excited about being in Ward 1. I can tell you that. We were disappointed because our first choice was the Line Hotel, only because the council member had said that they were graciously going to allow us to use the facility. Well, the community center was just not big enough to host what we are proposing in Ward 1. And so, Dottie, you can take over with the school and your relationship with the council member.
Okay, hi everyone. I don't see me, but I don't know how to work my phone that good.
We can see you and we can hear you just fine.
Okay, I don't see anybody. But however, as you know, the mayor had designated Columbia Heights as a high crime area and slated it for increased police surveillance and protection. And because of that, Councilmember Nadeau was at that briefing, and we talked about the work that we were doing in east of the river, and also talked with Commander Kim, who also thinks that it's a great idea for us to come up here to Ward 1 so that we can have an impact. The Columbia Heights Education Center is actually probably a perfect place. The community is well aware of it. Principal Tavika, I always get her name messed up. I'm so sorry. Anyhow, the principal, Takiva, said that she would be happy to have us at that center. So we've been working with them to finalize all of the operations. For this particular Jobs Not Guns fair, we're doing a summit in the morning with businesses, trade associations, apprenticeship training programs, social service providers, and the community. So we've invited them to come in and talk with the community about the barriers that they are facing with receiving employment, and also to have the people at the panels discuss the barriers they're having at in hiring DC residents. So we need to get our people off the street and into jobs. So that's what we're planning to do. Also, at this event, we're going to have our materials printed in multiple languages. And we're working with the mayor's office on community affairs to have that done, as well as with Commissioner Christine Miller in 1A, who's working also with us. We did receive a grant from ANC 1A, and we've also applied to 1B and are in discussions with 1D. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them or give you, as much information as you need on what we do and how we impact the community.
Thank you, Dottie. Again, the difference that between this one and the ones we've done in the past is that we have to have a conversation with the employers, because and the summit that we're having in the morning, like Dottie said, this is an opportunity for the residents, the stakeholders, the victims, for everybody to come to the table and say, what are the challenges and how can we overcome these barriers? And then we can leave that with a plan, because what we're proposed to do this time is to continue a tracking system so that we can find out once they come to the recruitment fair, and that they have the interaction with training providers, or if we have interaction with employers or support services, to see if those things are working. Because everybody has tried everything, but you cannot put a person in a job if they're not ready. Most of the time, training takes from 12 to 18 months in order for them to be job ready. I mean, practically ready, especially in a career. And so we're looking to say, after the event is over, we want to do a follow-up assessment and see what's working, see what the challenges are so that we can fix it. But the first thing that we want to do is to have an opportunity with Ward 1 and your residents and your stakeholders and your leaders and say, okay, how can we fix this and make this better? And we've been invited to come to Ward 4 in the fall. But our commitment is to go through the city. And this is it's not exclusive for Ward 1. It's being hosted by Ward 1. So we're inviting the communities, as long as it is only for district residents. So nobody else outside of the city can apply or participate, because this is our home, and we have to be able to help them to overcome all of the barriers to them getting a career, to put down their guns and pick up a job. So that's basically what we're doing, and we're so excited. We were at the Columbia Heights Day on Saturday, and we got lots of feedback with people who were saying that they were excited to see this kind of an initiative in the neighborhood, because everybody needs to do something. And most of the residents in the community are ready to support these kinds of initiatives. Unfortunately, on the cover of the Washington Post, Columbia Heights was on the front page, talking about a young man who had been killed. I opened up the paper today, there it is again. I mean, we have to be able to do what we can as a community to bring down this gun violence, to help the mayor to bring down this gun violence. So that, that's basically why we're here. We're asking for your support financially, and and also to have your community support in terms of helping to make this event a success, as we projected it will be. So we're looking forward to working with you all. And I'm really personally apologizing for the communication gap. I don't know, I thought I was sending it to the right people, and apparently I wasn't, and it got all discombobulated, but I'm glad it finally hit your desk and we can talk about working together.
Not a problem at all. And I actually apologize as well. I think when we have volunteer positions, sometimes that miscommunication happens, but I'm very happy that you were able to get here as well.
So I'd like to add, Ben, that we are looking for support from your ANC as far as not just getting the word out, but being there, perhaps serving on one of our 3 panels that we could discuss with you in detail. But we absolutely want 1C residents and community leaders a part of this project.
And we have a planning committee, and the planning committee is made up of community stakeholders, leaders, and all. And we have invited you, and we're hoping that you all will accept to be a part of the planning committee. We meet every Tuesday afternoon at 2:00. We try to keep our meetings to an hour and talk about, the design and the implementation and the assessment of this initiative. We want you at the table to help us get it done.
That sounds excellent. And thank you very much for that invitation. Just a couple of quick questions I had, and then Deb, if you have any as well, feel free to jump in. The first question I had is kind of more of a statement than a question. I just wanted to double check that we could fund something that was just outside of our borders. And we were able to, this isn't technically in our ANC, but it just doesn't, it has to have a positive basically influence on the ANC residents, which I definitely think targeting and working, making sure that the word is spread in our ANC makes sense as well. It's good to see that you're getting support from other ANCs. I was interested in, would you be able to provide a specific kind of what you would want our funding and support to go towards?
Yes, basically, the kinds of things that we're looking to for funding, of course, we hope to launch the website and the online registration this weekend. We've been working on getting all of the past history of the information, and so having the webmaster, his expense, in terms of the work that he's doing. The second one is that the summit, we're going to live stream it. We're going to not only have a photographer there and doing the video, but you'll be able to participate both online and in person. And so the technical cost of doing that is the kind of thing that we're looking for the for the community to help us pay for, from the ANC. So, and then some of the things can be done in kind. We're looking for printing, marketing materials, because you have to leave, sometimes you leave things behind, and people may participate at that time, but they want to wait and come back and read materials afterwards and all, and commitments. And so the kinds of promotional and marketing materials that we're going to hand out at the event, our banners, our directional signs, all of those kinds of things, are the kinds of things that that we think that the ANCs are able, to help to fund. We have, there's very limited amount of money available that we use, for labor costs. I mean, there is some minimal, but we also try to solicit as many volunteers to participate as possible. But in terms, especially in maintaining the database and all, because we are bringing on Monday a summer youth employment student that's going to be working exclusively with us, but we want to make sure that that person has the appropriate supervision and all. So it may be some professional services fees in terms of managing that process. But no food, we got that.
No entertainment.
No entertainment, and I think that the school is going to probably waive most of the fees. We've talked to the Department of General Services, and it looks like that most of those things there will not be an assessment for that. But I can submit a budget based on how much you're able to spend in terms of how we would use those funds.
Sounds excellent. Deb, do you have any questions? Or?
No, I don't have any particular questions. I just want to say, this sounds phenomenal. I'm really excited at the prospect of this coming to Ward 1. So thank you for presenting it here.
Well, again, this is a labor of love. I mean, like I said, as soon as the mayor created the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, a lot of people were scratching their heads and say, what can I do? I mean, everybody has different, she's doing outside of the box kinds of programs and services. But we basically said from the beginning is that the developers, the contractors, within hospitality, transportation, there's a lot going on in this city, a lot. And the projection for the redevelopment of the city and opening up after COVID, the president has put money into communities, and we need to make sure that money trickles down and benefits the residents who are here and going to be challenged in terms of the redevelopment. This is the time to get them the tools that they need so that they can work in the revitalization of their neighborhood. This has been my personal commitment for 40 years. So, this is just a different way of getting to the same target. People don't want to sit in their house and watch a new house go up next door and they have not vested in that redevelopment initiative. That's my personal goal, is that.
And you all know my commitment to the community. Having been on the ANC for 22 years.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why we work so well together. Because it's a labor of love, and it's all based on passion. Because you got to be able to figure it out. It's someplace like everybody, no one person has all the answers. But if we work collectively, we can help into the communities to thrive. My thing is that the developers come in, they bring, a lot of times they have been bringing their labor force with them. Not on my watch. No. You need to learn how to slow your roll, hire district residents. If they don't meet because they're always talking about, well, they don't come to work, they don't do this and they don't do that. Well, what do you do to help them to bridge that gap in terms of training, in terms of support services? And so that's what we do. And so, and it's really, I'm hoping making a difference, a long-term difference in the city.
I think you definitely are, and I'm very happy that you're able to share this with us. I think I'm very excited, and just echoing Deb, I think this is a great project. Before we kind of make a motion to approve to go forward, I do want to just kind of go over logistics, kind of the next steps. So the original form that you had, we're kind of in a transition, and I'm going to send you kind of an updated form that we would need to have completed before the 2 weeks before our full ANC meeting. But I think we can meet later this week, and I can help you kind of fill that out. And then we do try to, before we approve any funds, just run it through the office of ANC, just to make sure that they don't have any questions. And that's just more to get that pre-approval, then we don't have problems. But since you've already gone through with other groups,
yeah, 1A already went through it as well, but for your own peace of mind, I absolutely support you reaching back out to them. That just lets them know that Ward 1 works as a community together in resolving our most critical issues. So exactly. I don't think they would have a problem with you doing the same thing that 1A is doing, but definitely for your own peace of mind, reach out to them.
That is perfect.
And then again, we have the track record that this would be our third grant that was awarded by the Office of Gun Violence Prevention through the Progressive Life Center. So we have a bit of a track record now.
Yeah, I no doubt that this is more of a paperwork issue than any other type of support problem. So I would like to kind of with those caveats that we need to get the right form filled out and everything like that, I'd like a motion to approve to move this on to the full committee with our recommendation.
Second.
All right. So I think
I did. Oh, let me.
So when is your full meeting on July the 7th?
Let me just double check. I believe that is, but I want.
Looks like it is July 6th.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
July 6th.
July 6th. Okay.
Yep. At 7 again, and I will send the details of that information.
Well, I don't want you to wait for the meeting to get started working with us. Because of the elections yesterday, we did not hold our planning committee meeting, but we're having it tomorrow at 2:00. We delayed it, to give people the ability to participate in the electoral process. And so, but if you can or will donate or request someone to begin the process to join us on the planning committee meetings, just let me know, and we'll make sure I send them the Zoom as soon as possible.
Sounds good. And then I'll reach out to you just kind of with next steps moving forward of with the new form and things like that. I'll send that tonight, and then we can connect. I'll send out a message to the other ANC commissioners. I think if I'm available, if I don't have a meeting, I would love to join.
I will definitely. I would definitely include you on the invitation. Mukta in 1A was so excited. she's now chairing one of the panels. and doing the outreach for Ward One, she's so excited, and I got the chance to meet her in person on Saturday, and I said that she's a little what do you call it, the little bunny that doesn't stop. I mean, her little engine was gone. And I was so tickled. I was so tickled, and she is so excited. And I want the same kind of a relationship with 1C. I really do.
And also, I just have to ask the burning question. What do you think your grant amount would be that you would recommend?
So we can talk about that. We do grants in two buckets, either 2,000 or 5,000, I believe. So we can talk about kind of the specifics and what fits and kind of moving forward with that.
Okay.
Well, you know
So
what
we
we'll be
look forward
pushing
to
for.
talking with you.
Now, there's no shame to our game. We're going to be asking for 5,000. So, let's see if we can't make it happen and make it fit.
All right, that sounds good. And then yeah, we can get those details and moving forward. So thank you again for attending, and I think we will be in touch.
All right.
Thank you.
Don't forget now, all we're talking about is put down the gun and pick up a job.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.
All right. That takes us to the end of our meeting. And I don't have anything else. Debbie?
No other items.
All right. Then I guess we can call this meeting to a close.